Welcome to the Girl Camper Podcast, the show that brings you inspiring stories, expert advice, and tips on how you can make the most of your outdoor adventures. Whether you're a seasoned camper or just starting out, we are here to inspire you to get outdoors, explore, and live your best life on the road. I'm your co-host, Lesa McDermott, and today we're going to dive into a topic that's been on the minds of so many women, and that is van life for women over 50. We're going to be talking about cutting through the glamour and getting to the real deal with our friend and full-time van lifer, Charlie Grace. Let's get started.
What does it mean to camp like a girl?
It means charting your own course,
It means following your passions
It means building your circle.
sharing experiences.
and making memories that will last a lifetime.
It means conquering obstacles.
Finding your freedom.
And learning that so much more is out there for you to discover.
So, what does it mean to camp like a girl? Well, that's for you to decide.
Because behind every great trip plan is a woman. Start your adventure today at GoRVing.com.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Girl Camper Podcast. And thank you to Go RVing for sponsoring today's show. We so appreciate you. We love your Girl Camper commercial that you created. It's so adorable. But what a perfect guest to have on today's show is Charlie Grace. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I love having you on. We are going to talk about van life for women like you and I who are over 50, because that's such a big topic. And I'm sure you run into it a lot, being a full-time van woman yourself. And we have a lot of women that are just like, oh, I've never done this. I've never camped. I'm curious about vanning. Let's, what is that all about? So I couldn't think of a more perfect guest to have on than Charlie Grace. So let's start in. Tell us a little bit about your personal journey into van life. What inspired you to do it? And can I ask how old you were and how old you are now?
This is good. Well, it's sort of like a Goldilocks story. I always say this because I bought my first RV in 2017, and it was a 24-foot Class C. So let's start there. I've always wanted an RV, always wanted to go camping. I don't come from a big outdoorsy family with my kids, but I was always the outdoorsy person. I thought if I could bring, the bedroom with me, that they'd come along with me, kind of thing. Realized it was too small for my family at the time. So then I made a big jump to a 30-foot Class C. I don't know what I was thinking. And I went crazy. That was like, okay, it's like too small, too big. And then a year later, I was at an event and I met some really good friends. Johnny's Dirty, she has a YouTube channel, and her wife Kelly, and they have a van. And I'm like, you know what? This is actually exactly what I was looking for. No one's going with me but me and the dog. And I don't need to carry around all this other stuff. I think I could do this. So I bought a van. In 2021, I bought my first van, and it was a Dodge Ram ProMaster. And I tricked it out. I Charlie-fied it, I called it. I personalized it to me, and it became like the best thing I ever did. So I am currently, I have to think about this, 54 years old. So you guys can count back from there. Soon to be double nickel.
Well, and I think that's such a great point, is that you didn't grow up as an RV or anything like this. This is something that you took up a little later in life, or the prime of our life, as we like to think of it more, and are doing it. And that, if you want to do something, there are ways to get it and get it done. But what were some of your fears? Did you have any fears or doubts when you first started doing, because you are a full timer, right?
I'm an any-timer. I like to say any-timer because I'm on the road about 8-9 months out of the year. I do have a residence, which is nice. I go back and forth. It's a small place. I have a kiddo that stays there when I'm not there, takes care of it for me. He's currently in college. So I think initially it was the driving. I think I could drive anything in general, but just making sure I felt really comfortable and safe. And I'm a pretty, big on the safe driving thing. But as I moved to the van life, my biggest fear, I know this sounds crazy, is camping was no problem. Going to campgrounds, piece of cake. I wanted to boondock more. I wanted to learn how to be more self-sufficient and be more self-reliant. And so that was going to be a new skill set that I would have to learn that I didn't know. And that was my fear.
That's an interesting point. And how's that going?
It's still going.
Well, the nice thing with boondocking is I think they made such big strides in making that easier for people to be able to do out there, because so many people do want to boondock. It's an inexpensive way to go camping. And when we're talking about boondocking, we're talking about camping in places where you don't have hookups. You don't have electric, you don't have water, you don't have all, black tank or gray tank dump stations, anything like that. So it's being very self-sufficient on your own. I live in a beautiful area for boondocking in the Black Hills of South Dakota. So I'm a huge fan of it.
It's really, this sounds crazy. Now that I've camped enough, I see I camp more for my dog than I do for me, because there are
Mm.
places that she prefers that we camp at versus she's not really big on huge crowds, or maybe some of the very traditional, very tight camping areas. She likes a little more space. So she sort of pushed me to go in different directions I probably would not have gone in.
That's a great point too, because again, you and I have so much in common. I typically am camping with one of my fur babies, whether it's one of our cats or one of our dogs. But if it's with one of the dogs, I like to find areas that have a dog park that I can take them to and let them just run loose and have their own little freedom. So yeah. Or if I'm boondocking, then I can do that there too, assuming there's not a lot of other people around. So yeah, I totally get that. The fur babies, they do dictate a lot of our camping.
A lot. And I think, well, this is a big deal. After going through this for so long, I actually wrote a little ebook on how to RV with your dog, which sounds, I know this is an interesting little segue, but it's not huge. I think it's under 50 pages, but I had a lot of people ask me questions like, how did you learn how to do this? Or what are the steps you took? How did you dog proof, or what'd you do? And I realized, oh my gosh, she does take up a lot of my mental camping energy. And I thought I should write this down and pay it forward and give it to someone else.
That's so nice. Aw. What are some of the physical challenges that you've encountered living and traveling in your van?
I'm a
Like,
klutz. Let's start with that. I'm a klutz. I am very purposefully, it's a small space. You have to get used to a small space. You can't just make really big gestures and move around like you think you do. So you purposely put, one foot in front of the other. You have to get used to all the bumps and angles and things going to be. So I had to, get used to that, because I got bruises after bruises after bruises of bumping into something. Imagine that. Or, a flat tire. Things physically that I may or may not be able to do. I wanted to make sure that I had the ability to do the best I could without having to call for help, especially, like I said, if I was going to boondock. So now I'm in a whole nother land of trying to learn how to do that stuff. But I'm making a list. This is my new thing. I'm going to make a list of girly tools that help people. No, this is true, because I don't have a lot of hand strength or arm strength. Tools that are very empowering for women that will help them if there is an emergency.
That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
when you first said girly, I'm thinking, okay, pink.
No.
But you mean, things that make the job easier to do.
Correct.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. We should back up a little bit. We're talking about van life. And for some people, it is a small space. We have a little van also. And I love it. I love the flexibility that it gives me, especially in the winter for camping and going to ski resorts. But that is a consideration for people. It is a small space. You've got to be comfortable doing with little. But it's
Yes.
possible. It's not impossible.
And I've learned, here's my lesson learned. Ready for this? I overpacked so much. I can't tell you how much I shoved in that little space. I mean, packing cubes, extra this, extra that. And I've learned, my big lesson learned is, the more you know, the less you bring.
Yeah.
Truly. You learn what you really need. You don't need the 25 shirts. You might need 5. Or, you might need, a couple pairs of shoes, but definitely some boots. You just learn those things as you go. Yeah.
That's true. And with camping, you got to go with the flow. Things are always going to happen. Things are going to break. But yeah, the more you can adjust to the lifestyle, I think the more a person is going to enjoy it. And one of the big benefits I find with the van, again, the flexibility, the ease of where you can take it to. You don't have to be worried about, can I back this into something like you might have had to with your bigger unit that you had.
Correct.
They're definitely a different way to camp. And for some, they're the perfect way to go camping.
There's definitely a difference, and I say this, between van life travel and RV travel. And that's a really big takeaway. And I talk about this because I just talked to someone who's got trail. There's nothing wrong with RV travel. I'm not
No.
saying there's anything wrong with it, but when you van life, you just sort of keep going on your path. Where you park, you go. You don't always rubber band back to a campground. Sometimes you just keep going on your path as you go because you have your whole rig with you. So
true.
it's just a little different.
Do you find, though, one of the questions we hear from people that are considering van lifing is, well, the inconvenience of getting to a campground, setting up, but then you want to go somewhere, having to pack your stuff back up. You know what I'm saying? Do you find that
For
to be?
people who love to glamp and who want to take out their chairs and their rugs and their this and their that, fantastic. That's awesome. I love that. But yeah, that does tend to be something of a problem for that type of camper. I don't tend to take out a lot of stuff. I'm like a couple chairs, my dog, that's about it. So I tend to think of it more like, a boat on wheels. So
Oh, good. That's a good visual.
Yeah.
One of the things too we found with our van life is it's great to stealth camp in them. Like, we have to routinely fly out of a major airport that's 5 hours away from where we live, and we often will take the van and just park it in the airport parking, and we immediately put up all of our shade, the window coverings.
Mhm.
And we've never had security or anything come up and say to us, hey, you can't do this, because we'll spend the night there in it. And then we'll catch an early morning flight the next day, or we've got a late night flight coming in. And then it's so nice to be able to have that kind of flexibility. And I don't think you're going to be able to do that if you're pulling a camper or you've got a big, motorhome type. But those kind of things, those opportunities are nice to be able to have. But that's not to say, if security would come knocking at 2 a.m. and ask us to move, we would respect that and totally understand.
I'm a big believer of asking. I know it sounds hard. I know some people like it. Some people are like, oh, I'll just beg for forgiveness later. I don't want to wake up. I need my beauty sleep.
Yeah. Places like, when you're camping, like staying overnight at a Cracker Barrel or a Walmart.
Bass Pro, anything.
Yeah, always go in and ask just to make sure, because sometimes it's not up to them. There's a big thing going around on Facebook right now about, Cracker Barrel no longer allowing people to stay there. That's not true. It is just happened to be a few locations, and that's not dictated by Cracker Barrel. That's usually dictated by the municipal's regulations. Like in Rapid City, yeah, you can't camp at the Walmart parking lots because they don't allow that. Not Walmart, it's the city of Rapid City. So yeah, I agree with you on the asking, except in this airport parking lot, we don't ask.
Don't tell anybody. I won't say anything. Okay.
No, I know. So let's talk about the layout of vans. How important is the layout and setup of a van for someone who's over 50? You said you're a bit klutzy.
I'm a bit klutzy. It's a big deal. I would say, though. So currently, let's start with currently. My van is a very open space. A lot of people have different floor plans, and I have been doing van life for a while now, and I've seen every floor plan known to man, from the bunk beds to the Murphy beds, to the side beds, to the back bathroom, side bathroom, you name it, back couches. Bottom line is, you sit there, and I would say, how are you going to use your van? This is the biggest thing. Are you a weekend warrior? Great, awesome. Are you going to be extended trips? Okay. What kind of bed do you like? Do you like one that's functional and always made at all times? Are you the person who doesn't mind building, redoing a bed every single day or whatever that is? I think that gets a little old, but that's just me. There's some really amazing floor plans out there right now. That one of my favorites, I'm going to give him a shout out a little bit right now, is the brand new Nuvo. Have you seen the new Nuvo?
No, I'm gonna have to
Okay,
Google
so
that
this
one.
this is the compromise, and I have to say this because it's chassis first, build out second. Okay, so if you're a Ford, a Dodge Ram, or a Mercedes Sprinter, it's going to make a difference. You got to pick that first, or or a Chevy, and then you pick the build out. So right now, Nuvo is on a Dodge Ram ProMaster, and they have a dining area in the back with a bed that comes down over it. So as
Oh,
the
I
bed
have
goes up, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great idea. I've seen this on a lot of different floor plans, but they've really sort of perfected it a little bit. And so it's that great compromise, but you have to want a Ram because they don't
Yeah.
offer it on anything else yet.
And
So
chassis are important because again, that's going to depend on where you want to go. There's
Mhm.
not all chassis are four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. We have a Sprinter.
Mhm.
Ours is actually a converted cargo van that we bought at a construction auction. But the Sprinter is not four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Luckily it's a dually, so it for us to take it skiing, it's been functional. But that is something that my husband wishes we could trade it in and get something that was four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive.
It's expensive. But that's the thing to think about. Most people, this is the one thing I tell everyone, you need to think chassis first.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. The other consideration you kind of mentioned is, are you weekend warrior versus a longer traveler? And that's going to be the bathroom setup or / shower setup. For us, again, we're more weekend warriors in our van, so we don't need a shower or we use a little cassette toilet instead for that, and that's just fine for us.
Mhm.
But if you're going to be someone that's more long term, a nicer bathroom and possible shower are things that to consider. Or I think a lot of people they join Planet Fitness, from what I understand, because that's a
Oh,
cheap
yes.
membership and there's thousands of them across the United
Yeah.
States.
They're really handy. It's even more handy sometimes when your shower or bathroom doesn't work. That's also pretty handy.
And that's why they use them to go take the showers in the bathrooms. So yeah, funny. So let's talk about the financial realities of being a full-time van lifer. Or I shouldn't, we're
Well,
not
that's true.
timer.
You could say that. I'm an anytimer, but
Okay.
it's pretty full time. Let me tell you what.
I mean, there's
Uh,
glamorous images online of the beautiful people doing their van life options. But let's talk about the dollars. What are some of the hidden or unexpected costs that people need to be aware of?
Most people, when they buy their first camper van, new or used, I'm just going to put it out there, spend an average of $2,000 to $7,000 outfitting their van. It's true. You think you bought your van, you think everything's perfect. You're like, but I need a trash can, and I wish I had a bug screen here, and maybe I want that monster box on the back. Does it come with a spare tire? Like all these things that you didn't know or didn't think about, and you thought, oh, I've watched all these YouTube videos. I'm going to be fine. No big deal. I know for a fact I spent $12,000 in add-ons for my van, and that's something to think about. My first, and I've since moved on to another van too. So I've started with a Dodge Ram ProMaster. I now have a Sprinter van, so I have a little bit of experience on both these sides. You need to think about maintenance cost. You really need to think about how much is it going to cost me for an oil change? Is it going to be a couple hundred or 1,000? Am I
And where?
And where?
And where?
And where? Because let me just give a Mercedes moment here. Let me just tell this. My Mercedes is relatively new. It's a 2023. However, I am not a diesel mechanic. I don't pretend to play one on TV. I'm learning. Mercedes is a whole new learning curve. And when that engine light comes on or that service center light comes on, you go. It's not, oh, I'll go another place. It's no. You find out where that is within a 2-hour radius because it might not be close. You may have to go 2 hours out of your way to find this place. And I've been to Mercedes service stations 5 times since last June because I didn't know what the lights were. I was hoping it was user error. I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. So it gets expensive.
It does. Ours is a Mercedes also. And I mean, something to think on that is where are you going to be able to take that to get it fixed? We don't have a Mercedes car dealership in the Black Hills, but we have a Freightliner / Mercedes dealership, right? Because this is a cargo van. And Mercedes, the Sprinter vans are very, very popular in cargo vans for the delivery companies and stuff. So that's fortunate for us. That's where we can take it to the Freightliner dealership who also works on Sprinters to get it fixed. But again, like I said, they're not cheap. So something to think about investing too. And I say this for any vehicle that you have is one of the testers that
Mhm.
can tell you what those codes mean when something goes off. And then you can kind of do your research like, oh God, this came off, this light. I don't know what it means. It means this. Okay. Crisis is not imminent.
Right. I've made lots of friends with the O'Reilly's guys on the way. Advance Auto. Oh, I've stopped. Like Goshen. I can tell you everywhere I've stayed. I've got videos of all these crazy stops where I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on?
Yeah.
But my biggest advice on the finances, this is important.
Mhm.
So depending on if you boondock, I currently, in my current situation, I can boondock up to, honestly, 14 days without having to go plug in or without having to go get water because I have a
Okay.
very large water reserve. For many people with a regular van with, say, like a 13-gallon tank or something like that, they're going to need to plug in more. They're going to need to find a place to buy a campground. So you sort of have to put those in your mind. The average person, they say, if they're full-timing, this is a full-timing thing, spends around $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So
Wow.
a lot of money.
Interesting.
Campgrounds are very
But,
expensive.
but I guess if you think about it versus an apartment cost and utilities and all that, it's probably very, very similar in that. But,
Yeah.
now you're experiencing life on the road and going to where you want to. So
Right.
interesting. So how would you suggest then women, I mean, that's great advice on costs to be considering. How do you think women should prepare if they are thinking about doing the van lifestyle and whether they want to do it full-time or part-time?
Ooh. Well, my first advice to anyone thinking about this is go rent one.
Mm,
Go rent a van for the weekend. Go rent a van for a week. Go to Outdoorsy, go to any of those kind of things out there and Fireside Rental. Find a van. See if you like it first. Honestly, that's before you go
like,
make a major purchase. It looks glamorous, but it's not very glamorous. So there's a lot more, where am I going to do laundry? When's the last time you went to a laundromat? It's a thing.
mhm,
How much food can I really put in here? How big is my refrigerator? I may only be able to carry 3 days worth of food. So you
right.
have to start planning things in a different way. It takes a little mental energy. So I would say, watch those YouTube videos, read those blog posts, read all the girl camper stuff. It really will help you. Get out there and ask other people. I will say right now, I spend an average of 2 hours a day, 2 hours a day responding to messages, emails, questions. And it's important because I really wish someone would have asked, or I would have been able to ask someone, I would have not made as many mistakes. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's kind of the whole reason like Janine Pettit founded Girl Camper, 10 years ago was the same thing,
Mhm.
that she was finding all these questions that she had when she was starting her RVing life. And there weren't really any, what she felt like safe spaces that she could go ask them as a woman. So it's awesome that now there are so many options out there, including yours, Charlie Grace Adventures on YouTube and your website and everything that you've got awesome resources for women that are thinking about doing this.
I just want to help other women in this
Great.
space. I think it's
Yeah.
important. It's a safe space. I've been to lots of different organizations and lots of different things, and whether it be overlanding or RVing or van life, I'm big in the van life community. I watch women who are just a little scared, a little fearful, are you sure I can do this? And I'm like, and I met with a 73-year-old woman today. I'm so excited. And she was so excited about, she's got to be a van lifer, 73
Ah,
years old. And she said, if not now, then when? And I said, well, good for you. Good for
exactly.
you.
Exactly. That is one of the most frustrating comments I think I get from people. And usually it's men. I'll be like, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna go. I'm gonna go take a group canoeing up in the Boundary Waters. Oh, we used to take the kids there when we were younger. Yeah, probably can't do that anymore. What? What do you mean? Why? Why?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. You absolutely can.
Yeah.
And
And don't let other people hold you back from your dream
yes,
or hold you
exactly.
back from your intention of doing something. It's not that we always try to be, as women, we try to be polite. We try to be considerate of other people. We try to think about other people first.
Mhm.
It's sort of in our genes. At the end of the day, and I think especially in our 50s, this is a 50 moment, right?
Mhm.
I raised my children. They're fantastic. I've gotten to the point where, one parent is gone, one parent is still here. We have a very short period of time to go do things and also be in a very physically mobile kind of, time in our
Mhm.
life that I think if you don't do it now, then when?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Do not die with regrets.
No, no.
Yeah. Along the same lines of, this questioning too, where we're talking about the financial aspects of van lifing, a consideration for any woman that's thinking about wanting to try this full time is that there's a lot of job opportunities out there. Now, are they going to be high paying jobs? No, probably not, unless you've got your own career where you can work on the road yourself. But there's ones that are there, especially through organizations like workcamper.news, workcamper.net, where they can help pair you up, find you locations. Say you want to come in the summer, you want to go to Yellowstone. And there's jobs out there where they're going to provide you with a campsite, probably for little or no cost. And then they're going to give you a job for minimum wage to be doing something for 3 or 4, days a week. And then you have the rest of the time off. I mean, what a great way to help finance what you're doing, pay the bills, and then still see parts of the country.
Absolutely. I think work camping is a great option. I know there's a lot of women in their 50s though that are still working.
Mhm.
Retirement may be very elusive to people of our age because we may have not been brought up with the best financial education. We might have been through a marriage that didn't work out. I mean, it could be a lot of different things involving our financial future. But I think the new retirement is really doing more digital nomad work. There's
Yeah.
a lot of people out there that are working 5 hours a day online, 8 hours a day online, and they're just looking out their window at a different scenery. So that's a great way of looking at it. And I see a lot more people moving in that direction, whether it be project management, whether it be IT, whether it be administrative work. There's a lot of things that are really good paying jobs that are remote.
That's true. I just forwarded a job notice to a friend of mine who's an attorney, and he's looking for a job, and it was training AI
Mhm.
to recognize legal language for $45 an hour.
Yep.
You know, that's not horrible money there. And you could do it in any time of the day, 2 in the
Right.
morning in your PJs or no PJs at all.
As long as and I will be the first. I was working in the Badlands National Park with my Starlink at like 5 in the morning. I was working for like 4 or 5 hours. I'm like, this is awesome.
I know. I know. I'm not a full-time nomad, but I do spend so much time on the road, and I do love the freedom that it gives us to be able to work from the road. I think it's awesome. And yeah. But let's talk about some of the downsides a little bit of van life, and that is the emotional realities. It can look really fun, it can look really free, but does it also get a little bit lonely?
It's exhausting sometimes.
Mm.
I'll tell you my two stressors. Lonely, not so much for me. Now, for some people, yes. I would say when I first started RVing, I had a hard time finding my tribe. It's important because it really was, just trying to figure, do I want to join a group? Do I want to go to a meetup? Like, what do I want to do? There are tons, and I mean tons of amazing van life events all over the country that I think you should check out. If you go to vanlife.travel, I list them out every single year all over the country. And the ones in Florida in the wintertime that I love to go to are like Peace, Love, and Vans. There's a Van Fest on the East Coast. There's Adventure Van Expo. There's all these really cool things. And you start to meet other people. And I love that
Mhm.
because it is a really close tribe. And then there's Facebook groups and things like that you join. And I found that to be my connection. That's what kept me from the loneliness factor. So yes, it's something to think about, but I think if you go into it, if you want to be alone, go for it. But if you want to find your tribe, go to the events. You'll find your tribe.
And find your balance.
And find your
You know?
balance. Exactly right. Because there are days when I just want to go, ooh, I'm done. I'm done peopling today. I've had a lot of people. We'll just hang out.
Yes.
My anxiety, my stress-ridden thing is I'm a planner. You never know it, but I'm a planner. And I like when I'm leaving for a trip, I like to have highlighted places where I'm going to stop. Now, because when it gets 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, oh, geez, where am I going to park? What am I going to do? Yeah. Like I have to be ready for the next day because I just have things going on and whatever. And it's got to be dog friendly. So for
Mhm.
me, I have like a 4-year calendar. Don't tell anybody. I have a 4-year calendar. And I use it for planning, but more importantly, for goals of places I want to go to. So like
Oh.
this year, I want to go to Colorado for the summer, and I put that in there. Like I want to go to Maine next year, and I put it in there so I can think about it and give myself some time to mentally plan what I want to do, where I want to go, and then I just go there.
Well, and that works great because as a content creator, then you start thinking about, okay, what is the content I can create around that goal? And
Yeah.
how do I make that more of a reality? So,
Because right, it used to be when I started traveling, it was places. I had to go to all these places. But right now, ironically, it's sort of people over places. Because I like to see other people. I like to go to events. I'm going to be at the Girl Camper Camporee. Very excited. In Colorado. And I'm going to be going to, let's see, an overlanding expo. And like, there's 3 or 4 things in Colorado I'm going to do, and I love it.
that's fantastic. I love hearing that too. And, you did mention that like all the van life groups that are out there, but of course, yes, there is Girl Camper too, where we're a good tribe to check out. And for us, there's no wrong way to camp like a girl. Van, hammock, car, RV, cabin, we don't care. Come meet us. Let's talk about safety. What are some safety tips that you would give specifically to solo women travelers?
Number 1, trust your gut.
Mm.
Number 1, just listen to your gut. If you park somewhere and you don't feel safe, move. Don't hesitate. Don't shake it off. Just move. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of the beauty of van life. You can just get up and go, right? There's no big deal. That's the first tip I always give to people. The second tip is just prepare yourself a little bit. If you want to take a self-defense class, fantastic. If you want to learn to take a pew-pew, that's fine too. State laws are different. Be very careful, people, when you travel with that kind of stuff.
Good point.
Very good point. If you are the person who is a pepper spray kind of person, and it makes you feel more comfortable and you feel like you know how to use it, fantastic. Bring it with you. But I say this out loud because this is important. I learned this the hard way. Bear spray is for bears. Wasp spray is for wasps. It is not meant for humans. I know there's a lot of people out there that will write and say these things. If you use them in certain states, it's considered attack with a chemical weapon, and you could go to jail. And I want my ladies to be safe out there. But I've never, in all the years I've been doing this, and I've been doing this a little while, I've never had to use pepper spray. I've never had to use any of those other things. I've never had to brandish anything or whatever that is. I've just learned to use my biggest muscle up here. Move if I don't feel comfortable. Find other ways to deter things. Like I'll click on my locking mechanism that lights up the rig.
Mhm.
Say I hear someone walking out at 1 or 2 in the morning. They don't know if I'm inside or outside walking to it.
Right.
They have no idea.
And you have a dog.
And I have a dog. And I will say that her ears are much better than mine. And she's pretty ferocious. Her bark is pretty big. But it is a good deterrent. It really is a good deterrent. So people don't mess with my rig with the dog in it. And I put on the rig, this is something big. If you have a dog, I have a thing that says canine on board, temperature controlled and monitored. So people know there's a dog on board.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm glad you mentioned the thing about the wasp spray and the bear spray, because a lot of people don't realize that
Yeah.
it can be perfectly fine for you to have the pepper spray in your
Right.
car. But if you have the other and your intent is to use those on humans, if need be,
Yeah.
you can go to jail for that. We did a podcast with a gal named Lori Osmond. She is with Damsel in Defense. If anybody wants to go back and find that episode, it's a great episode. Lori covers a lot of these topics on how to feel safe when you're on the road. And she also sells a lot of great topics. Damsel in Distress does. No, Damsel in Defense. Oh, I'm so
Defense.
sorry, Lori. I said that wrong.
When you feel like a damsel in distress,
Yes.
you need to go to damsel in defense. There you go.
Damsel in Defense. Yes. And thanks to Lori, I have the pepper spray. I have a little stun gun with me. And these are all things I never really considered that I needed before. And then there was an incident in a Nebraska truck stop, or not rest area, last summer, where sadly an elderly couple was killed by someone that barged their way into their camper. So
You have to remember, it's pretty rare. I just want to say this right.
Yes.
It's really
Yes.
rare. Don't think of
Very
this as
rare.
the norm. It's more like, and that has to be said because campers are really nice people. It's when you
Yes.
start boondocking in different places and whatever that you're not really sure and familiar. One of the things I would suggest is an app called Spot Crime. Spot Crime. I think it's on your phone. And before I park, I put the location there and it tells me if there's been burglaries, assaults, other things within like a certain radius. Because typically if I see like 3 or 4 of those, it makes me think, might not want to stay here. Might want to park someplace else.
That's a great thing. I'll put the link to the app in the show notes for it. I've never heard of that. And that is a
Free.
fabulous tip. Now, how do you find where you're going to park overnight?
Well, East Coast versus West Coast. We got to start there
Okay.
because there's a big difference. I always say van lifers on the East Coast, we're used to paying. We pay for spots all the time. Cracker Barrel, Walmart, Bass Pro, Gander Mountain. Those typical big ones are the ones, we're in between. Some people have Thousand Trails memberships. Some people, just depends on what you're going to do. So we tend to pay a lot more for spaces on the East Coast. There's not a lot of boondocking. There just really isn't. There's some Forest Service land and hunting. If you get a hunting license, you could park in certain places in Florida, but only for limited amounts of time. But if you go out west of the Mississippi, there's tons of BLM land, and you can stay in a place for, I think, was up to 14 days sometimes, and you got to move so many miles. But then you have to, when we're going back to apps and things, we're going back to iOverlander is probably one of our best bets in trying to find places to stay. And they have paid places too on iOverlander, different campgrounds and things. But Harvest Hosts, RV overnights, Hit Camp, Spot Tonight. I think of all these places where you're just trying to find a place. But remember, you're averaging, if you're doing a Harvest Host, it's $30 an evening, typically without electricity.
Right.
So then you're like, well, for $45, I can get electricity and water. So it just gets real expensive real quick on the East Coast. So save your money.
So what do you think are some of the biggest mental shifts someone has to make when they are transitioning from a normal home from the sticks and bricks to life on the road? We talked a little bit on downsizing. You don't need, and a little bit too about being able to go with the flow because things happen. But backing up a little bit on the downsizing, I always kind of laugh at myself when we sold my home here in the Black Hills and bought some land, and the intent was to live in our RV while we built our current home. And I had never done that. At that time, I think I was still dabbling in this whole camping thing. And I felt the need to bring like 20 different spices into the RV. And the funny thing on that is I don't cook. So why I thought I needed 20 different spices that took up room just blows my mind. And yeah, very quickly within the first 3 or 4 months, I think most of those got tossed or donated or given away to friends. And
the rule of van life is one item has to do minimally 2 things.
yeah,
Other than clothes. So if you buy an item and then you're allowed to have a luxury item. And I have a luxury item. I will tell you my luxury item, which is sort of crazy. I have a 1-slice toaster.
what?
That's all it does. It's a 1-slice toaster because I like my bread toasted. I like my waffles toasted. I'm a toaster kind of gal. That was my one luxury item that I had in my van. Everything else had to do everything else. So I had a little neem collapsible silicone because space is important. Collapsible silicone, a hot water pot that was electrical. So I used that, of course, for soups and other things, not just for tea and coffee. It had to do multiple things to heat things up with. I had a barbecue tool that was a tool. I love this Defiance tools. Love these guys. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It was like tongs and a fork and a spoon and a knife and a this and a that. It's fantastic. So you have one tool that takes up a small space instead of all of those other things that you would have to bring. So I think that's the first thing when you start thinking, how do I make van life work is what do I really need? What do I really use on a daily basis? Be honest with yourself. If you're a coffee person, I know that might be your item. Like that's, I got to have it, right? I'm a Southern sweet tea kind of gal. I get it, but I make tea. So I have to have my tea stuff. It took me a little while. It took me a little while because I did a big downsizing and I look back and go, why did I have that? Why do I need that? If I need it, I'll just go get it. I'll stop at Harbor Freight and just go buy it. Do I need to carry a hacksaw with me? Probably not. Well, go to Harbor Freight and get one? Absolutely. That's okay. You can get stuff on the road. You don't have to carry every replacement part for your van with you, no matter how many people say, oh, you're going to need an extra water pump, or what happens if your stairs go out? Trust me, you'll just get one on the road.
Yeah. Good point. How have living this lifestyle changed your outlook now on aging or independence, even your personal happiness?
This is huge
Mm,
because I really enjoy driving more than I thought I would. I enjoy the destination too, but I actually like the journey. I really like the journey. That's something different I didn't think I'd like as much. Um, it's
which is
changed,
overlanding.
which is it's more over. Like I said, I'm getting into more
Oh,
overlanding this year. This is a really
yeah.
big change in this.
Yep.
Um, but as far as like outlook on life, it's really made me be very specific and intentional on the time that I spend on people and places.
Mm,
It's very intentional. There are things that I want to do. I feel like I'm sort of in a little bit of a race. I know it sounds horrible. There's things I want to see and do, and there's only so many summers left. There's only
mm.
so much time left. And I need to be careful about that. But in the same token, it makes me purposely make plans to go places.
That's cool. That's cool. If someone is dreaming now about getting into van life, but they're feeling really overwhelmed about it, what's the one simple step besides renting an RV, which I already mentioned, that they can take to start working towards that goal of being a van lifer?
That's a toughie because I think it's one of those you have to make the decision. There's a lot of people I talk to who waffle back and forth. So they have to follow through on their decision that they want to try it and do it.
Mm,
That's one because I see that a lot. People are like, I'm not sure. And give yourself a timeline too. Because if you keep waffling for a year, you might have missed your opportunity to go out there and do the things that you could probably the hikes that you could have taken, you know, the trails that you could have seen or whatever it is, the hot air balloon rides you could have been on. So make that decision and then just move forward with that and be open to understanding that you may not know everything. You're going to learn as you go,
yeah. And that's okay.
and that's okay.
It's
Totally okay.
part of the
And
journey.
and talk to us women, and we'll tell you we've been there. It's okay. We'll support you no matter what. I love to. I wish someone could have seen me doing a sewer hose for the first time. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we all weren't born learning how to do that.
No, no.
We had to learn it at some point in our lives. We all learned how to do these things too. And I think that's one of the cool things I feel about Gora Camper is that we really want to be that welcoming environment where if you do have a question, it is a safe space for you to ask it
Right.
and to come to one of our events. And again, it's a safe space to talk to other women about whether it's something that's camping related or maybe it's something you're going through in your life. I have a friend who had lost her husband a couple years ago, came to our camporee as one of the speakers, and her husband had just passed away maybe a month or two earlier. And she enjoyed the speaking part so much and meeting some of the women that she said, you know what, I'm going to go see if the campground has a cabin that I can rent for tonight. Well, then I didn't see her for a while, and I thought, boy, I don't know, did she stay? Did she go? Where is she? I start wandering around. This is now late at night, not late, but 8, 9 o'clock at night. And so campfires are blazing at different women's campsites and stuff. Well, here I come on her, and she is sitting around a campfire with 7 or 8 other women who are all widows
Oh
and at
wow.
various stages of widowhood, from like 25 years to maybe a couple years or whatever. She had bonded with them over, the grief of her just losing her husband. And one of them said, why rent a cabin? I've got an extra bed in my motorhome. Stay with me.
Oh,
You
that's
know, I know.
I know.
I'm gonna cry.
It's those no, but it's those connections. It really makes a difference. It really does.
Exactly.
I think I talk to a lot of people who are like, my partner doesn't want to do this. Or,
Yeah.
can I just do this on maybe I could just try it on the weekends or I've recently my youngest kid's in college and I'm trying to find my purpose. I'm trying to figure out what do I do with my time now.
Mhm.
There's a lot of people that are just they're sort of flailing and in that in between of like, what do I do? What do I do? And that's one of the reasons I love Girl Camper because it is such a welcoming community.
We try. We really strive to be that way. And I hope we can always be that way. So thank you for your kind words, Holland. We talked a little bit about gear, some of the things, that can be necessary, like your single toaster and teapot and stuff. But is there anything else that you think a van lifer really should have in their arsenal that will make the whole journey easier and more enjoyable for them?
Ooh, okay. Always, always, always get a good old fashioned road atlas. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You think your GPS will take you there. Take the moment and look at the map and the GPS. Just like I said, I'm a little bit of a planner. The one thing that I use the most in my van, which is going to sound crazy. Ready for this? Scissors. There's not a day that goes by that I don't open that drawer and need a good pair of scissors. So whatever you do, get yourself a good pair of scissors. Um, these are really good tips. Trust me. When you know, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I think traveling with a pet, the most important thing to me, of course, is her safety and making sure that we have, whether it be medications, food, veterinary situations, things like that. Just making sure that you have all of that with you, printed out. Don't put it on your phone, or you have it on your phone, but always have a printed out copy. Paper always trumps what's on your phone, always. So if there's ever an incident or a problem, just having all your important papers in one place that's easy to get to. Oh, and one more thing. God, I'm thinking about it. You got me excited. I don't like to call it a bug out bag, but I do like to have a bag, because what if something happens and you have an accident on the road, or you need to get your RV fixed, you're on a trip somewhere. I always carry a backpack or a bag that can carry at least a couple days of clothes, some stuff for the dog, whatever it is. Or if I have to leave my vehicle and go into a tornado shelter, which happens a lot. Yeah. So no matter what, I like having a bag sort of prepared, a couple beef jerky sticks, some water, whatever it is. And that way I can just pick it up and go.
That is smart, because we've broken down twice in our van.
Yeah.
And then, have to, get towed in the middle of nowhere back to that Freightliner dealership to get our splitter worked on. And to have that is really a smart thing. I think the other thing too, I want to add on to that, with especially traveling with pets, is make sure they're chipped.
Oh yeah. Well, you cannot, if you go to Canada, you can't come back to the United States without having your pet chipped. It should be chipped before you leave. Yeah. According to the new rules, your pet has to be chipped.
Good. I think that's important. We see it, again, it's rare, but once in a while you see those posts on Facebook. Oh, something happened to me and I got into an accident. My pet ran off, and if someone finds them, please, and I just think, man, hopefully that they're chipped, and that makes that so much easier for people. And yeah, Well, Charlie, now I want to do something fun with you. I want to throw some rapid fire questions at you, and you can't
I
think
am
about
ready.
them. You just have to answer them really fast.
Okay.
And let's see.
First thing that comes to mind, watch out.
Exactly.
Monkey underpants. Let's go.
All right. Coffee or tea in the morning?
Tea.
Favorite road snack?
Bucky's beaver nuggets.
Oh, God, yes. Yes, Bucky's beaver nuggets. National park you wish you could visit over and over again?
Well, I go to the Smoky Mountains a lot. It is one of the most visited. I love the Smokies. I'm very, very, it's like my whole family growing up. It's totally there. But I really want to go. I haven't been to Glacier or Banff, and those are on my list.
Both beautiful. Both
Yeah.
beautiful. Best van life splurge you don't regret?
Ooh. I did a whole thing on decorating my van. This sounds really crazy. I couldn't know. I didn't. It was a very neutral van, and I wanted to do like a personalization thing. So I got new comforters and new pillows and new wall art, and I did like 3 different looks for different seasons, and I loved it.
Which you can do because you have those sticks and bricks place to
It was
store.
fun. Well, no. You could do it. You can always have a storage unit. Don't get me wrong.
That
Or
is
you could
true.
just do the 3 and pick one and take the rest back.
That is true. Yes. All right. Campsite, remote boondocking or full hookup luxury?
I do like a Margaritaville every now and again. I'm not going to lie. I'm a glamper. I mean, I love to glamp just like everybody else. I have to do more boondocking. I really do. I love a good state park. I love a good state park. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping to get you up here in my area this summer because it'd be close down in Colorado. Well, you were already in the Black Hill or in the.
Yeah, I just baby stepped in there. I want to come back.
Okay, I want you to come back, and then we'll do a ton of boondocking up here.
Yeah.
What's one piece of gear you'd grab if you only had 5 minutes to pack?
Piece of gear I grabbed. My rubber boots.
What's blasting on your van speakers right now? Country, rock, podcasts, or just silence?
Ooh, I'm really getting into country again. Yeah. Merle Haggard.
Ooh. Craziest weather you've ever camped in?
Oh, tornadoes. That's all there's to it. It's crazy. Not doing it again. Too much hail. No hail.
Oh, yeah. Hail is not our friend. We get that all the time in the summer here. Hate
Yeah.
it. Favorite guilty pleasure when you hit a bigger town?
Oh, I do like a good meal. I will say this. I'm a bit of a foodie. I could spend some money on food. Yeah.
One word that describes van life for you.
Freedom.
Love that.
Freedom.
So, Charlie, where can people find you if they want to learn more about the Charlie Grace?
Oh my gosh. Well, if you're on the road, you might see me on the road. I've got a really big gear. It has a rig. It has my name on the side. I love when people wave and say hi. So just wave and say hi. But you can find me, if not there, on my website at charliegraceadventures.com. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those great things. Just look up Charlie Grace Adventures and I'm there. If you have any questions and you have something that we didn't answer today that you want me to answer, you can email me at contact@charliegraceadventures.com. And then every Wednesday, which is insane. I don't know why I'm doing this now. I got challenged through the month of April and May, and a little bit into June. I'm going to go live every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for a Behind the Wheel live stream. We're going to answer questions.
That's not fun. And you're going to be a Girl Campers Camporee. We still have a few spots left if anybody's interested in joining us. It is our signature event. It is going to be a ton of fun. It is June. I might have the dates a little bit wrong. It's a Wednesday through a Sunday. I think it's the 4th through the 8th in Granby, Colorado. It is an event packed full of activities, and a ton of women will be there, including the fabulous Charlie Grace. So come join us. Come meet me. Come meet Charlie, and just join us at our campfire. Thank you, Charlie. And until I see you in June, we'll be chatting more.
All right. Thanks for having me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Girl Camper Podcast. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Charlie Grace as much as I did. I just love her. Be sure to check out her website and YouTube channel, Charlie Grace Adventures. And if you are ready to take the plunge into your own adventure, we would love for you to join us at Girl Camper. Become a part of our vibrant community of women who are passionate about the outdoors. Check out our upcoming events, including Camporee in June in Colorado, where we said not only I'm going to be there, but so will Girl Camper founder Janine Puttett, Charlie Grace. So come hang out with us. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss out on any episode, and leave us a comment or a review because that helps other people find us. Until next time, get outside, go exploring, and remember, there is no runway to camp like a girl, and adventure is just a van ride away.